have brought back, and this update was sponsored by My Patriot Supply. Guys, they have brought back their 25% discount on their 3-month emergency food supply. And to get the discount, you have to use the link preparewithnyprepper.com. And the link is in the description below this video. And this 3-month emergency food supply has a 25-year shelf life, and it's all contained within 6 rugged watertight buckets, so it doesn't take up a lot of space. Free shipping included, 25% off their normal price. Use the link preparewithnyprepper.com to get the discount. They also have a 2-week emergency food supply, which is excellent for outdoorsmen or people who go vehicle camping. They also have a general store. If you click the My Patriot Supply logo at the top of the page when you get to preparewithnyprepper.com, it'll take you to their general store where they have everything you can imagine, from potassium iodide to water filters, solar generators, solar panels, survival seeds, fire starters, anything you can imagine, it's all there. So use the link preparewithnyprepper.com to get 25% off of the My Patriot Supply 3-month freeze-dried food supply. And the link is in the description below this video. Okay, hopefully you guys can hear me now. Sorry about that. Sounds working, sounds good. Hope you guys are doing well. It's Friday night. Thank you so much for the donation. I appreciate that. I'm trying to see who donated here, but it's not showing me for some reason, but I do see the donation. Thank you very much for donating before the stream even started. So thank you so much. Everything sounds good. Thank you guys. Old Spice, how's it going? Vanessa Dubois, thank you for gifting memberships, 5 memberships. Thank you so much. Light Source Engraving says, sent you an email about donating some engraved items to you. Channel is LS Engraving. Sounds good. Thank you. Yeah, I'll check the email after the stream. Thanks for reaching out. And if you want me to shout out your channel, just let me know. Thank you, Light Source Engraving. Hope you're having a great evening. Chris Hoffman says, going deer hunting in the morning. So I'm going to get started. I'm just going to read off some headlines here. A lot of news to get through. So, I want to just jump right into it. So what you're looking at here are 2 U.S. nuclear war command and control planes up in the air. They were up in the air about an hour ago to an hour and a half ago. One of them just landed at Offutt Air Base in Omaha, Nebraska. And one of them was on the runway in Oklahoma City in Tinker Air Force Base. And I don't know what happened. It either didn't take off or it took off with its transponder off. So let me just run through some headlines here. We have a lot of stuff going on this week. So if you missed my update in the afternoon, my second update I posted today, we had a U.S. presidential doomsday plane that got aerially refueled over Missouri and turned its transponder off, okay, which is extremely unusual. And at the same time, we had multiple nuclear war command and control planes in the air. One of them got aerially refueled, which is very unusual. And this is coming after just a week of very high activity of NATO nuclear forces. We had France conduct a nuclear war exercise. They practiced with their tactical missiles, their ASMP-A, which is a hypersonic missile that can carry the TN-81 nuclear warhead, which has a blast yield of up to 300 kilotons. And they were practicing with their fighter jets. And that happened 2 days ago. And at the same time, we had multiple U.S. nuclear war command and control planes in the air. While they were doing that exercise, we had B-2 stealth bombers that did an exercise in the North Sea. One of them ended up landing in the UK. So we moved a B-2 to the UK, and we did an exercise in the North Sea. We had 6 nuclear war command and control planes in the air earlier this week. And about 9 days ago, the Russian buzzer was just going berserk. I counted over 20 messages on the Russian buzzer on December the 6th. And it seems like right after the Russian buzzer went crazy is when all these U.S. and NATO nuclear war planes were going in the air every single day, doing exercises, whatever they're doing. But it seems like this heightened activity started about a week to a week and a half ago. So in my estimation, something big is about to happen. What that is, I have no idea. But the past week, the activity has been unprecedented by U.S. and NATO nuclear forces, okay? The amount of nuclear warplanes, doomsday planes, drills, and Russia just set up NOTAMs in the Barents Sea area in the Russian Arctic for a missile test in the coming days, okay? So we could see something huge happen very, very soon, okay? And I think it could be with Russia. Russia could make a move onto Estonia or Latvia. Finland just closed their border again with Russia. Their entire border has been shut down again. Estonia has put anti-tank obstacles along their border with Russia. Latvia and Lithuania have already shut down most of their border with Russia and Belarus. Poland, same thing. Poland put up anti-tank obstacles as well. I think Latvia moved their military a few months back to the border with Russia. So something big could go down, guys, okay? We could see Russia potentially attack the Baltic countries, anywhere from Poland up to Finland. All those countries are very vulnerable right now. But let me read to you some of the latest headlines. Last night, we had mysterious power failures in New York City after a transformer blew for unknown reasons. There was a historic radio blackout that occurred yesterday after an X 2.8 class solar flare, the strongest solar flare since September 2017. And there is a moderate geomagnetic storm watch posted for tomorrow night. So tomorrow night would be a good night to go out to try to see auroras. If you live in mid latitudes like where I am in Pennsylvania, New York, Nebraska, Oregon, Iowa, places like that. If you live in like the northern half of the U.S., you may want to go out to an area that's got minimal light pollution and a clear view of the sky without a lot of hills around. Best thing is to be on the top of a hill so you have good view of the horizon. And And the shipping giant Maersk says they're pausing voyages through the Red Sea after multiple attacks by Yemen on their cargo ships. The German company Hapag-Lloyd says it is considering temporarily halting shipping in the Red Sea. Yesterday, yesterday, two ships were attacked by Yemen's Houthi rebels. One was targeted by a missile but was not hit. The missile detonated 50 meters from the ship, while another was boarded and seized and taken to Yemen. Today, another ship was attacked by a missile launched from a Houthi-controlled area of Yemen. The name of the ship was the Platinum 3, and it was apparently hit directly by a missile launched from Yemen. This is being confirmed by a U.S. military official. And Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps released video footage that reportedly shows them directing the U.S. Navy out of the Persian Gulf. The video depicts the IRGC dictating terms to the U.S. Navy, resulting in the prompt landing of helicopters on the Eisenhower aircraft carrier and its subsequent exit from the region. We don't know if that's true, if that video's fake or not, but there was a video being shared around on social media of apparently the Iranians threatening the Dwight Eisenhower. I don't think it's real. The largest U.S. military base in the Middle East, Al-Assad, was attacked by a drone today during the visit of the CENTCOM commander, General Kurilla. Israeli troops mistakenly shot 3 hostages to death on Friday in Gaza City. And apparently China has detected new infections of the new variant of the C-19. And Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin has extended the deployment of the Gerald Ford and Dwight Eisenhower carrier strike groups in the Middle East. And in Crimea, the Ukrainian army attacked the northern part of Crimea this evening. Russian air defense is currently operating between Chernomorskaya and Mezvodne. Loud explosions have been reported, and there's reports of a drone attack by the Ukrainian army. Russia will be conducting missile tests in the Arctic near Norway and the Kola Peninsula in the coming days. They have shut down the airspace to accommodate them. French President Emmanuel Macron said he is ready to resume dialogue with Russian President Putin. Macron said if Putin has serious proposals and is ready to resume dialogue that achieves a peaceful settlement in accordance with international law, France will always be the force that will provide support and will spare no effort to achieve a result, Macron added. My phone number has not changed. Okay? So Macron trying to play the diplomatic angle again, which we know never works with Putin. Macron tried that before, and it failed before the war started in Ukraine. The U.S. missile defense complex in Poland went online today officially, and it will be handed over to NATO in June of 2024. It uses the Aegis system, which has the SM-3 missiles capable of intercepting ICBMs. A satanic temple display inside the Iowa Capitol in Des Moines was destroyed, and a former U.S. Navy fighter pilot who was recently defeated in a state house election in Mississippi is accused of causing the damage. A Facebook posting by the Satanic Temple on Thursday said the display, known as a Baphomet statue, was destroyed beyond repair, though part of it remains. Michael Cassidy, 35, of Lauderdale, Mississippi, was charged with fourth-degree criminal mischief, the Iowa Department of Public Safety said Friday. He was released after his arrest. In a text message to Fox News Digital, Cassidy confirmed he tore down the satanic display which was erected last week by the Satanic Temple of Iowa to represent the group's right to religious freedom. It was extremely anti-Christian, Cassidy told Fox News Digital when asked why he tore down the statue. So that's some of the latest headlines, guys, and I'm going to dive in deeper to these headlines, okay? Let me just see what you guys are saying in the chat here. Beans and Bullets, thank you so much for your donation. I appreciate that. And Shotgun Christian, thank you for gifting a membership. Dan Zarks says Zelensky got evacuated to Germany, Russian reports. I haven't heard anything about that. That could be just BS, you know. They make up a lot of stories over there, you know. He went there for a diplomatic visit, but I don't think he got evacuated there. I think that's a BS story. But maybe it's true. I don't know. Maybe Russia's planning some kind of big surprise attack. They launched a bunch of hypersonic missiles the other day on Kyiv and the western part of Ukraine. They launched a bunch of drones at Odessa. Some of them landed in Romania, guys. Okay, like the third time Russian drones landed in Romania. Okay, so very concerning. John Montgomery, thank you for the donation. I really appreciate it. What do you think the world will look like in 2 years? Well, just looking back at the last 2 years, okay, and looking at how things have really ramped up so fast in the last 2 years. I mean, we're basically going warp speed towards, you know, total chaos, you know. Before we were going light speed, now we're going warp speed. Okay, with all these war fronts opening up, there's a new variant now coming out. I forget the name of it. It's like JN 1.2 or something. Okay, there's a new variant out. We have multiple war fronts. We have NATO and Russia preparing for nuclear war. Both sides building up their nuclear arsenals like crazy. Russia testing more missiles this week. All the major nuclear war treaties have been scrapped, and even the Conventional Forces Treaty was scrapped. Okay, so just thinking about all the treaties, these are major Cold War era treaties that were signed to prevent, a nuclear war. They've all been scrapped. Okay, it started with the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty, which was scrapped by Trump because Russia was deploying their medium-range ballistic missiles. So the INF treaty's gone. Putin scrapped the START treaty. Okay, that was a treaty under Obama. That's gone. The nuclear test ban treaty is basically gone. Russia said they're not going to abide by it anymore. So that's going to allow them to test nukes in the atmosphere and underwater now, just like we did in the 50s. We have the Conventional Forces Europe Treaty, just got scrapped by Russia. Okay, the Conventional Forces Europe Treaty was passed in the latter part of the Cold War to prevent, a massive land war in the European continent. So it put limits on how many tanks and artillery and heavy equipment and troops Russia and NATO could put in Europe. Okay, that's been scrapped. I'm sure there's another one that I'm forgetting, but those are the big ones right there. The INF, the START Treaty, the Conventional Forces Europe Treaty, and the Nuclear Test Ban Treaty have all been scrapped. So, just looking back at the last 2 years and how far we've come from the last 2 years in a negative way, things are just really progressing. I mean, we have 2 war fronts now. Okay, so 2 years ago, we were talking about lockdowns and stuff like that, and now we're talking about nuclear war, okay, and world war. 2 years ago, if somebody told me hey, Greg, Russia's going to invade Ukraine and there's going to be a major war with 500,000 casualties, I wouldn't even believe them. Like if there was a time traveler that traveled from the future like 2 years ago and said, Greg, I'm from the future. I'm from 2025. I'm here to tell you that Russia's going to invade Ukraine in a year and a half, and there's going to be 500,000 casualties total on both sides. Uh, then there's going to be a war in the Middle East. I wouldn't even believe it. I'd say you're kidding. You're crazy. I wouldn't even believe it. And that's what's happening right now. Okay, the amount of casualties in Ukraine is unprecedented. Okay, we haven't seen these level of casualties since World War II. Okay, 500,000 casualties on combined between Russia and Ukraine. If you combine the number, it's 500,000, probably even more, maybe closer to 750,000, guys. That's insane. Okay, that is insane. We have not seen that many casualties from any war since World War II. Okay, and that should really freak people out, and it doesn't. People don't even care. Okay, people are focused on all this BS all the time. Not really paying attention to a major situation that's going on in the world right now. Okay, we have the situation in the Middle East now, which is spiraling out of control with, Yemen constantly attacking warships now. They started with our bases. We're up to over 100 attacks on our bases officially. I think it's a lot more than that. But officially, we're up to 97 attacks on U.S. bases. And out of 97 attacks, we've only retaliated 4 times. Okay, that's pathetic. And all we did was hit some munition storage sites. We didn't actually really hit them hard. Then they hit our embassy. Okay, they hit our embassy, and we didn't do anything. Now they're attacking warships and cargo ships on the daily basis. Okay, on the daily, every day, multiple ships being attacked with missiles and drones, and they're being hijacked. I mean, it's just insane. So it's just getting worse and worse. So just look at like the last year or last 2 years, and imagine what the next 2 years are going to be like. I think we're going to see. I don't know. I mean, it's. I think we're going to see, like I said, a major escalation very soon, potentially in the Baltic region. I think we're going to see the Middle East situation also escalate. I think the U.S. could be putting together some kind of massive task force to strike Yemen and strike the Iranian militias. We had the National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan, say today that the U.S. backs Israel in any kind of campaign against Hezbollah, and that they support a diplomatic effort to try to resolve issues with Hezbollah diplomatically. But if they're forced to go militarily, then the U.S. will support Israel against Hezbollah. Okay, so it's just a few more weeks until Israel wraps up their operation in Gaza, and then they're going to turn their attention to Hezbollah. Okay, Netanyahu and his defense minister and all the top generals in Israel, they've already warned multiple times that, if Hezbollah doesn't back away from the Israeli border, then there's going to be consequences. Okay, Israel's going to have to go in and push them back using force. Okay, so things are spiraling out of control. So I expect more wars to open up. More war fronts opening up. I think we're going to see massive escalation in Europe because we have the election next year, and I think Putin is maybe calculating in his head, okay, at the end of next year, it's possible there might be another U.S. president, and the next president may be softer, or not softer, maybe tougher, okay, and he won't let me get away with everything. So Putin may think, oh, now's the time for me to escalate and take a huge step, because he knows he can get away with it now with Biden in charge. He's gotten away with so much, so he probably figures, well, I can make a limited incursion into Estonia, or I can attack Moldova, or maybe I can try to go for Kyiv again, whatever. So that's what I'm very concerned about. Russia knows that the Republicans and Democrats here are fighting over the aid bill for Ukraine, so it's like an opportunity for Russia to take a second try at Ukraine again. We have a lot of Russian media and Russian sources saying that Russia's preparing for a possible second attack on Ukraine. So yeah, the existing war fronts are going to escalate, and we may even have a nuclear war within 2 years. I mean, who knows? We could see a massive power failure. We could have a cyber attack. That's one thing that we're long overdue for, is a cyber attack. Okay, we have not had a major cyber attack in this country, which is really unusual considering how connected we are today. We have not had a major cyber attack in this country that would take down a huge chunk of our electric grid or mess with our infrastructure, but that's not going to stay like that forever, guys. Okay, we have been extremely lucky with our infrastructure not getting targeted so far, okay, and taken out, but that's going to change, okay? It's our luck is going to run out, and I predict that we could see a regional power failure, kind of like in 2003 in the Northeast. Some of you guys may remember that. I remember that day. I was working. I was after my first year of college, and I was working a job, and suddenly the power went out. And I thought we had got into nuclear war or something, and everything was dark and nothing worked. And that was just a random power failure because of some issue with the transmission line. Okay, and it caused like 50 million people to lose power. Okay, and basically like New York, Pennsylvania, the Midwest, Southern Canada all lost power. And I expect something like that to happen in the next 2 years from a cyber attack. So, hopefully that answers your question. So the existing war fronts are going to escalate. We could have new war fronts open up. Potentially North Korea may attack South Korea. But I'm going to do like a New Year's prediction. I'll do a video. What do I expect to see in 2025? I do that, or 2024. I do that every year. So I'm going to be doing that this year as well. I'll have to release that within a week or two. My predictions for 2024. Okay. Mike Subchinsky, thank you for the donation. DRW, thank you for the donation. I appreciate that. Thank you guys so much. So I want to just share some stuff with you guys. Here we have a post from U.S. Central Command about the latest attack. Actually, let me see. It's this one. Is it this one? I think it's this one, actually. This is a post about the latest attack. So I'm going to read this to you guys. At approximately 0700 December 15th, Sanaa time, Houthi forces contacted the vessel MSC Alanya, a Liberian-flagged vessel that was traveling north in the southern part of the Red Sea, and threatened to attack it. The Houthis directed the vessel to turn around and proceed south. Although there were no U.S. ships in the area, U.S. forces maintained direct communications with the vessel, and the Alanya continued north. It is believed to be traveling safely at this time. At approximately 0900 December 15th, Sanaa time, a UAV launched from Houthi-held territory struck the Liberian-flagged vessel Al Jasra as it was traveling south in the Red Sea. The Al Jasra immediately broadcast a mayday signal that said the crew was fighting a fire caused by the attack. The fire has since been extinguished, and the crew has since determined that no further assistance is needed. At approximately 1300 December 15th Sanaa time, Houthi forces launched 2 ballistic missiles towards the international shipping lanes in the Bab al-Mandeb Strait. One of these missiles struck the Liberian flagged vessel Platinum 3 or Palladium 3, which broadcast a mayday call and reported that the vessel was on fire. The USS Mason has responded to that request. The other ships likely missed. The other missiles likely missed any ships. No injuries have been reported by any of the 3 ships attacked, but this latest round of attacks is yet another demonstration of the great risk to international shipping caused by these Houthi actions. This was posted at 5 o'clock. Okay. So actually 3 ships were attacked today. Okay. One was attacked by a missile in the morning, the MSC Alanya. 2 hours later, the Al Jasra was hit by a drone. And then at 1300, another ship, the Palladium, was hit by a missile. Okay, so 3 ships attacked today. 2 of them actually got hit by the missiles and caught fire. Okay, so the U.S. is not doing anything about it. I mean, 3 ships today, 2 ships yesterday. Is it going to be 4 ships tomorrow and then 5 ships on Sunday? And we have the firepower to completely destroy all those Houthi rebels and eliminate them. Okay, and yet we're not doing anything about it. We're just sitting there and letting them attack these ships, constantly. Very bad, guys. Very bad. And it's going to continue to escalate there because we're not punishing people. Okay, we're not punishing all these bad actors, all these all these countries, all these groups that are doing evil. We're not doing anything. We're not responding. So I'm gonna continue with a post that they put yesterday. This was yesterday evening, 6:06 p.m. Eastern Time, December 14th. This was from yesterday. Midday, December 14, a ballistic missile was fired from a Houthi-controlled area of Yemen toward the international shipping lane north of the Bab al-Mandeb. There were no injuries or damage following the missile launch. The Maersk Gibraltar was hailed by the Houthis, who threatened further missile attacks. The Maersk Gibraltar is a Hong Kong-flagged container ship. While this incident did not involve U.S. forces, we continue to closely monitor the situation. Okay, so just absolutely insane. And there's actually a video I want to share with you guys here that was the Houthis, I think it was the Houthis. They posted this video today after one of the attacks, or maybe it looks like a fisherman here. I don't know if this is legit footage or if this is fake footage. I mean, it looks like it could be legit. But disclaimer, I can't verify 100% that this is real footage here. Okay. But it looks like a fisherman. You can see his fishing rod here. And you can see that there's like a ship here on fire, and there's a bunch of these small boats around it. So let me just play this for you guys. These could be the Houthi pirates, in these yellow fast boats. That's what it looks like. Yeah, that's what it looks like. These look like the Houthi pirates here on those fast boats. Absolutely insane, guys. Yeah, it looks like just a civilian fisherman here, and he just happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time, or at the right place at the right time, whatever you want to make of it. But this video's been going around social media, so absolutely insane. So we had this X-class flare yesterday, an X 2.8, and now we have minor to moderate geomagnetic storm watches up for tomorrow and Sunday. Okay, multiple CMEs have been observed over December 14th and 15th. An Earth-directed component is expected around mid to late day on December 16th, so that's tomorrow evening. Effects should continue into December 17th. Geomagnetic storm conditions are likely with the passage of the coronal mass ejection. So I'm telling you guys, tomorrow night is going to be a good night to go out. We don't have a strong moon. What is it? A waxing or waning crescent? It's I think we're at a waning crescent. I think we are. Yeah, I think we're in a waning crescent right now. So the moon is not that strong. So you should have good visibility of the sky, and you should be able to see if there's any auroras. And here's the official release from the NOAA. Strongest solar flare of this solar cycle 25. Multiple aviation communication impacts associated with this event. Likely one of the largest solar radio events ever recorded. Radio communications impacts between approximately 1200 and 1400 Eastern Time on Thursday. CWSU report degraded communications across the nation. Never seen anything like this. So this is insane, guys. Okay. Multiple aircraft reported having issues, and I think this is why the power was all messed up in New York last night, was because of this solar flare. That's why the transformer blew, because there was a power surge from the solar flare. So here you can see that X 2.8, and then actually this morning we had like another flare, an M class flare, but it was a strong M class flare. It was an M7, which is almost at an X level, so kind of like an aftershock, sort of. So we actually had like two really strong flares in the last 24 hours. So we're definitely going to see some impacts. And I want to just show you guys what we had going on earlier today over the U.S. with the nuclear warplanes, in case you missed my update. So we had a U.S. presidential doomsday plane up in the air, and it got aerially refueled. And then we had a nuclear war command and control plane that got aerially refueled as well. Let me show you guys the presidential doomsday plane. Okay, so that's right here. You can see that right here it took off from Offutt Air Base in Nebraska. Okay, and you can see the two E-6 Mercuries in the air and the nuke sniffer in the air at the same time. And here's a closer shot. And here you can see the KC-135, that's an aerial refueler, took off from Lincoln, Nebraska, and it met the Doomsday plane over northeastern Kansas. And they started flying right next to each other into northern Missouri. And then the Doomsday plane turned its transponder off. And this was at the same time as a nuclear war command and control plane was airborne as well. And then that one ended up getting aerially refueled just a little while after that. Okay, so here's a close-up shot of the Doomsday plane and the aerial refueler flying together, okay, shortly before the Doomsday plane turns off its transponder. And let me switch the screenshot here. So then here you can see the Doomsday plane turns its transponder off somewhere near the tri-border of Nebraska, Kansas, and Missouri. Okay, and Iowa, this border area right here, you can see the Husker 15 is the aerial refueler, and the Doomsday plane turns its transponder off. Okay, here's a shot of the Doomsday plane with its transponder off. So that's very unusual, guys. Okay, the reason why it's unusual is if you turn your transponder off, it basically increases the risk of other planes crashing into you because they cannot track you and they don't know where you are. And there's thousands and thousands of planes in the air, in the sky at any given time, and the transponders are critical so planes don't collide in the sky. Okay, so if you turn your transponder off, other planes can't see you, and there's a risk that there could be a mid-air collision, basically. Okay, so and then here you can see the nuclear war command and control plane getting aerially refueled over northern Arkansas. Okay, so very, very serious situation going on. So let me just get through some more news here. I have a bunch of news to share with you. Here we have the NOTAMs that Russia set up for their upcoming missile tests. You can see that it starts from December 21st through December 25th. It says temporary danger area, Rus space launch area, December 23rd. Impact area for Russian missiles. Okay. Right here. Okay, this is Norway. Okay, this is Norway. Look what it says here. Impact area for Russian missiles. Okay, December 21st through December 25th. It's pretty concerning, guys. Okay. And here's another screenshot showing these NOTAMs. A NOTAM is notice to airmen. You can see this massive NOTAM over the Kola Peninsula. Okay. But what's interesting, this one is near Russia, but then there's one up here near Svalbard. Svalbard is part of Norway. And then there's that one close to Norway right here. Okay, that was the one that I was just showing you guys. Look how close this is to Norway. This is like right next to Norway, guys. It's right near this this little peninsula here, Vardo, Norway. I mean, this is super close. Okay, they're going to be launching missiles into the sea, and potentially even they could have nuclear warheads on them. You know, who knows? They could be doing nuclear tests. Maybe they're going to test the Tsar bomb again. I mean, who knows? You know, Putin pulled out of the nuclear test ban treaty, so he's going to do whatever he wants now. Maybe they're going to start doing massive nuclear tests like they used to do in the Arctic, you know, like a Tsar bomb. Maybe they're going to take the RS-28 Sarmat and they're going to detonate 10 warheads somewhere close to Norway, you know, like they did with the Tsar bomb. Okay, this is not too far from where they tested the Tsar bomb. The Tsar bomb was tested in this huge island here, Novaya Zemlya, which literally means new ground. Right here, this is where they tested the Tsar bomb. And the Tsar bomb was so powerful that it caused people's windows in Norway to break. Okay, people's windows in Norway broke from the Tsar bomb test, and that was hundreds of miles away. And the blast wave went that far. Okay, so that's pretty concerning. So let me read to you a little bit more about this test. This is coming from the Barents Observer. Temporary danger area reads the notice to airmen issued by Russia for a nearly 90-kilometer north-south stretch in the outer Varanger Fjord in the period December 21st to 25th. The NOTAM also reads impact area for Russian missiles and has a corresponding warning further northwest in the Barents Sea between Bear Island and Svalbard in Norwegian exclusive economic zone. So one of these tests is going to be in Norway's exclusive economic zone, guys. Although no space launches have yet been announced for the period, the warnings could be related to a splashdown from a rocket or several Arctic satellites being brought into orbit, blah, blah, blah. Vardo is a small fishing village on a little island on Norway's coast to the Barents Sea. The huge military radar facility forms the skyline. In clear weather, if you look east across the water, you can see the shoreline of Russia's Fisherman Peninsula, a northern appendix of the Kola Peninsula. Officially, the operator of the facility has never said the word Russia when explaining what the radars in Vardo are looking for. The Norwegian Intelligence Service writes in a public statement about the new radar, the Globus system ensures continued access to important and relevant information of national importance. The radar complex has long been a thorn in the side of Russia's security relations with Norway. Moscow fears the radars could be used to track ICBMs and monitor activities of the Northern Fleet. Russia's ballistic missile submarines in the north are all based at Gajievo, which is just 150 kilometers east of the radar station in Vardo. So now it's starting to make sense. Okay, now we know why Russia's doing this test. They're doing it on purpose, okay, because they want to scare Norway, because Norway has a radar station right near where this test is going to be, okay, and they have a massive radar station. So now it all makes sense, okay? Now we know why. Let me see if I can show you guys on the map this area where the radar station is. I'm trying to see if I can find this radar station. Let me see. Trying to see if I can find that radar station. Called Globus. Globus is the name of it. But I'm trying to find so this is that radar station right here in Norway, right next to where Russia's doing that test. Okay. Let's see. Several other temporary danger areas in the Russian exclusive economic zone of the Barents Sea are active in the days ahead. The largest one goes all up to 74 degrees north, but Russia's Northern Fleet does not specify what weapons are to be tested or why it covers such a huge area. The NOTAM is activated from December 15th to the 17th. So that's one of the other NOTAMs is for the next 2 days, okay? That's the massive one, okay? This area is traditionally the main exercise area for both submarines and surface warships. It is also here that Russia tests submarine-launched ballistic missiles crossing the skies of the Arctic towards targets on the Kamchatka Peninsula. All right, so this NOTAM here, this big rectangle, is for the next 2 days. Let me just see if I can get some updated information on this NOTAM. Hold on, I'm checking a map here, seeing if I can find it. For some reason, it's not being shown on Sky Vector. Sky Vector usually has all the NOTAMs, and it's not up for some reason. Let me see. Yeah, Sky Vector doesn't have it for some reason. I'm not sure why. It's weird. So it's just absolutely insane, guys. So this radar is pretty hardcore. Looks like they had this thing active since the 1950s. It's been around a long time. It says here on Wikipedia that Globus is a radar system in Vardo on the island of Berget in Norway. It is operated by the Norwegian Intelligence Service, and its official uses are primarily space observation and Arctic airspace monitoring for Norway's national interest, though the site's close proximity to known Russian naval bases as well as U.S. involvement in construction and funding have fueled suspicions that it also serves as part of an American missile defense system. Okay, so this could be part of our missile defense system, guys. These radars here, we have a bunch of radars like these in Alaska and across the U.S. To detect incoming missiles and form a more accurate estimation of their impact and to shoot them down and stuff like that. It says here the Globus project started in the Cold War era of the 1950s. By 1988, the Globus 1 radar array was built and operational in the town of Vardo, just 31 miles from the border between Norway and the Soviet Union, and within visible range of the Kola Peninsula, which is known to contain high-security Russian naval bases. That's where Russia has like 2/3 of their nuclear-armed subs, and they're right there, right in the Kola Peninsula. So very interesting. And then they upgraded it later on. Originally known as Have-Stare, the Globus 2 radar was built by the Raytheon Company at Vandenberg Air Force Base and became operational in 1995. It is designated AN-FPS 129 according to the U.S. military's Joint Electronics Type Designation System. As it is the 19th design of an Army-Navy fixed radar search electronic device. Then there's Globus 3. In 2016, construction began on a new array dubbed the Globus 3 to replace Globus 1 and worked in concert with Globus 2. The new radar was estimated to cost US $121 million. On the 13th of February 2018, it was reported that the local population felt misled about the size of the radar. The construction work was shrouded in secrecy, and many locals were critical, but they were reluctant to speak out because the project brought sorely needed employment to the community. Testing was set to begin in autumn of 2018 with an expected operational date of 2022. So this is crazy, guys. It's called Have-Stare. It's an AN-FPS 129, it's an X-band radar. And I believe AN-FPS 129, I think that's long range. Let me just double check if that's long range. I believe that's a long range radar. So just absolutely insane, guys. Let me see. What other stuff do I have here for you? Lots of stuff. Blast at Con Ed plant triggers loss of power across New York City, trapping dozens in elevators. Service was restored to all customers by 3 a.m., Con Edison said, but not before causing issues with transportation, leading to at least 10 elevator rescues. An overnight explosion at a Con Edison substation in Brooklyn led to a brief but impactful loss of power across large parts of New York City early Friday, leaving dozens of people trapped inside stuck elevators. The brief outage just before midnight Thursday affected most of the city, officials said. Con Ed said a piece of equipment at the Con Edison Farragut substation on John and Gold Streets in Dumbo short-circuited, leading to a dip in power felt throughout the 5 boroughs. A fault on a high-tension transmission line occurred at a Con Edison substation in Brooklyn at approximately 11:55 p.m. last night, the power company said in a statement. Customers may have experienced a dip or surge in power at that time. Crews are investigating and working to make necessary repairs. Power was restored to all customers by 3 a.m., Con Edison said, but the outage caused a number of problems across New York City. The Office of Emergency Management said it performed around 10 elevator rescues around the city. The FDNY said the department responded to 137 calls for stuck elevators, most with people inside, between 11 p.m. Thursday and 2 a.m. Friday. The average number of calls about stuck elevators in a 3-hour period is 15. Okay, 137 calls for stuck elevators in a 3-hour period. The average is 15, so that's like 10 times the average. Okay, so this was a pretty serious power failure in New York City. Okay, it took a good amount of power down, and I personally think it was related to that solar flare, but I could be wrong. I don't know. I could be wrong. Let's see. Here's the. I want to show you guys that radar in Norway. Here's a better picture of it. Here it is right here. Here's one of the radars, Globus 2. You can see it right here. And where's the other one? There's 2, I think, right? I don't know, but there's one right there, so you can see it's right on the edge of that peninsula here. You can actually see it from this little village here. Okay, there it is right there. And you can see another one back in there. So, if there was any kind of war with Russia, these would definitely be taken out by Russian missiles. There's no question about that. Dennis, thank you so much for the donation. I really appreciate it. I like this channel and want to support. I'm Dennis. How's it going, Dennis? And where are you from, Dennis? I see your name is in Cyrillic. Just curious where you're from. What's going on, NYPrepper? Missouri Man says, always is in New York because of their distribution lines are up in the mountains of metals and quartz. Interesting. Yeah, they come from upstate New York, if I recall. Yeah, elevators are definitely not a good thing to use. It's crazy. One time I was in New York City and the subway stopped. The power went out and the subway stopped in the middle of the tunnel, and there was no electricity, at all, and the lights were off, and it was like pitch black in those subway tunnels. I mean, there was no emergency lighting, nothing. You couldn't even see your hand, in front of your face. It was just pitch black, and that's one reason why you should always have a bug out bag anytime you go to a big city. with critical items, okay, like flashlight. Okay, I talked about that yesterday, the importance of having flashlights and lighting. Lighting is critical. Um, so looks like here's the other radar. So these two radars are right on the edge of Norway, right up here, and you can see Russia's border is right here. I mean, they're like right next to Russia. I mean, this is like the closest you can be to Russia, basically. It's very close. And then Russia's naval bases are all in here in Murmansk. Okay, in this area here, you have all the Russian naval bases in here. That's where they have their nuclear armed submarines. Okay, at the Yagelnaya naval base. So these radars here are without a doubt set up for monitoring Russian nuclear forces. I have no doubt about it. Here's one of the radars here. Here's another look at it. And what's funny is they even have like a little park over here for people to, whatever, play soccer and go for walks and stuff. And there's just apartments here. And then you have this massive radar for nuclear war right there. It's crazy. Minraja, thank you for gifting 10 memberships. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. So I'm going to continue with some more of the news here. So the Aegis Ashore system came online today in northwest Poland in Redzikowo, which is northwestern Poland. And it's going to be operated by the U.S. until mid-2024 when NATO is going to take it over. But basically, this is a missile defense system. Okay, it's very, very strategic. Its location, it can protect a whole chunk of Europe. So let's actually go to the map so you guys can see where this thing is located. So it's right on the Polish-Baltic coast. This is Poland right here. You have the Baltic Sea here, and it's all the way up here. It's right here, okay? And you can see this is the complex right here. Apparently, one of these complexes has 24 missile interceptors. Okay, so they can shoot down 24 aerial targets. And looks like it has a radar. You can see that square thing. That's the radar. It's pointed in two directions here. You can see it's pointing kind of like east and then north. Okay, so it's basically pointing directly towards Russia. I mean, just look at where these radars are pointing. They're pointing right to Russia. I'll show you again. Okay, right here. You see that? They're pointing right towards Russia. Okay. So let me just see what else do I have here. But the Aegis system uses the Standard Missile 3, which is capable of intercepting ballistic missiles. It has a long range. It's a very potent system. Okay. So here's another picture of it on the ground. From the ground, you can see those two radars there, phased array radars. Okay, so it's definitely no joke. Let's see, what other stuff do I have for you guys? Putin ally sounds alarm on nuclear weapons plunging into chaos. Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko, a key ally to Russian President Vladimir Putin, issued a warning about global nuclear deterrence efforts. Putin's invasion of Ukraine, which began on February 2022, raised alarms about the use of nuclear weapons, as Russia has the largest nuclear arsenal of any country. International organizations and anti-nuclear advocates have warned Russia against using these weapons, as it could lead to worldwide devastation. Comments from Putin's allies have fueled nuclear fears amid the war. Lukashenko criticized global efforts to prevent nuclear escalation. In remarks first reported by Russian state news agency TASS, most of Europe has backed Ukraine, with leaders pledging billions of dollars in aid to the country in hopes of weakening Putin's military. Lukashenko, however, has supported Putin, defending the war and even allowing his forces to invade Ukraine from his country's territory at the start of the conflict. No one has yet been able to find even a fragile balance between opposing forces. The system of counterbalancing forces based on intercomplementary treaties has been destroyed, particularly in the field of nuclear deterrence, he said, according to TASS. So I completely agree with him on this part right here. He's 100% right. The system of counterbalancing forces based on intercomplementary treaties has been destroyed. I mean, he's calling it like it is. He's right on that. He warned that the world is plunging into chaos with unpredictable consequences due to the international community's response to the Ukraine invasion. Lukashenko specifically criticized the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, and the International Committee of the Red Cross for falling into complete decay. They have turned into platforms for doublespeak and tools to serve and implement the interests of global players. It has reached the point of absurdity where the European Peace Facility is actually funding the war in Ukraine, he said. So pretty interesting. Okay, so Lukashenko saying that the world is plunging into chaos with unpredictable consequences. Wow, absolutely insane. Dennis says, I moved to the U.S. from Russia 20 years ago. I live in Cleveland, Ohio, but I'm kind of worried about latest news. That's why I'm here. Big support for you. Oh, thank you for the donation. And Cleveland, Ohio is very snowy. There's a lot of snow in Cleveland. I've been through there a few times. Thank you so much for the donation. And if you're Russian, you should check out another channel on YouTube called Inside Russia. It's actually a guy from Russia. His name is Konstantin. It's a big channel. They have like 250,000 subscribers. But I watch that channel sometimes. Good channel to watch, especially if you're Russian. You might find it interesting. Let's see what else here. NATO warned it won't be able to defend Finland and the Baltics if Russia defeats Ukraine. A leading think tank warns that Russian victory would allow Russia to pose a major conventional military threat to NATO for the first time since the 1990s. NATO countries would be left vulnerable to Russian attack if Vladimir Putin's troops were to emerge victorious in Ukraine, a leading think tank has warned. Ukraine is continuing to fight the Russians in the east of the country, but concern has mounted due to Kyiv's overwhelming counteroffensive earlier this year. President Vladimir Zelensky is urging the West to keep providing support for Ukraine, but U.S. President Joe Biden is struggling to get further funds through the legislature. The Institute for the Study of War has warned that a Russian conquest of all of Ukraine is by no means impossible if the U.S. cuts off all military assistance and Europe follows suit. The think tank also warns that if Russia secures complete victory in Ukraine, NATO countries would be vulnerable to attacks that NATO won't be able to stop with the current number of troops in Europe. The Institute for the Study of War says Russia could launch a short notice mechanized offensive against one or several NATO states with at least 8 divisions, which is composed of 21 mechanized or tank regiments and brigades and 3 airborne regiments. The think tank added they could make such an attack and still threaten the Baltic states and Finland with the forces already present there and reinforcements they have announced they intend to station along the Finnish borders. Russian ground forces would be covered by a dense air defense network of S-300, S-400, and S-500 long-range anti-air and anti-missile systems with overlapping coverage of the entire front. NATO would be unable to defend against such an attack with the forces currently in Europe. The United States would need to move large numbers of American soldiers to the entire eastern NATO border from the Baltic to the Black Sea to deter Russian adventurism and be prepared to defeat a Russian attack. So, absolutely crazy, guys. That's the Institute for the Study of War. They obviously know what they're talking about. Okay, they're all experts, retired generals and stuff. They're saying that there's not enough troops in Eastern Europe in NATO in general. NATO doesn't have enough troops without the U.S. to defend against a Russian invasion. And they're saying that if Russia wins in Ukraine, they could target, the Baltic region, which is what I've been warning about for months. I've been saying that that's next on Putin's list, okay? He's already made massive gains in Ukraine. I know a lot of people don't want to admit that, but it's true. I mean, he's taken like 20% of Ukraine's territory, and they haven't pushed the Russian military out yet. So, this war is actually kind of a win for Putin, even though he lost so many troops and he lost the thousands of tanks. Still, he was able to take a huge chunk of Ukraine, a very strategic chunk. He's now got the entire Sea of Azov under his protection. He's basically turned the Black Sea into a Russian lake. So, if you're Putin, at this point, you can either continue to push forward in Ukraine, you can hold the lines where they are and then try to go for the Baltics, which would make a lot of sense. So, but I think that there's a very serious chance, very serious likelihood, very high chance of Russia attacking the Baltic region from Poland all the way to Finland. That's a very vulnerable area. There's not a whole lot of troops there. Okay, they try to say that, oh yeah, we have troops in the Baltic countries. Yeah, right. NATO has like 5,000 troops between all 3 Baltic countries, between Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia. They only have a few thousand troops. They don't have that many tanks. They don't have much. Okay, if Russia went in there with a big force, NATO would not have enough to stop them. Okay, there's a good amount of troops in Poland. Poland is the closest area that would be able to reinforce the Baltic countries, but it would take time. So it's really, really concerning, guys. Really concerning. Let's see here. Oh, here was that statue of the Baphomet in Iowa, in the Iowa state capitol. This is the Baphomet statue that was destroyed by the former Navy pilot. He actually got arrested, and then here it is after being destroyed. You can see basically nothing left. I'm not sure how he destroyed it, what he used, but the Satanic Temple basically built an altar with a Baphomet statue at the Iowa state capitol, and it was just sitting there in Iowa, and nobody was doing anything about it. This thing was just sitting there, and finally this guy said enough is enough, and he took it down himself. I don't blame him, honestly. So let's see what else here. Pentagon orders aircraft carriers to remain in the Mediterranean amid Israel-Hamas war. U.S. Defense Secretary extends deployment of the USS Gerald Ford for a third time, underscoring the administration's concern over regional stability. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin has ordered the U.S. Gerald R. Ford aircraft carrier and one other warship to remain in the Mediterranean Sea for several more weeks to maintain a two-carrier presence near Israel as its war with Hamas grinds on, U.S. officials said. It would be the third time the Ford's deployment has been extended, underscoring the continued concerns about volatility in the region during Israel's war in Gaza. The U.S. has two aircraft carriers in the region, a rarity in recent years. Multiple U.S. officials confirmed the longer deployments approved this week for the Ford and the USS Normandy cruiser on conditions of anonymity because they have not yet been made public. Other ships in the Ford strike group had already had their deployments extended. The Pentagon ramped up its military presence in the region after Hamas's devastating October 7 attacks, in which Palestinian terrorists killed some 1,200 people and took 240 hostage. Blah blah blah. As of Friday, there are 19 U.S. warships in the region, including 7 in the eastern Mediterranean and 12 more stretched down the Red Sea, across the Arabian Sea, and up into the Persian Gulf. 19 U.S. warships, guys, in the region. Okay, 19. Absolutely insane. The decision to keep the Ford, the Navy's newest aircraft carrier, in the region comes as Israel's Defense Minister Yoav Gallant said Thursday it will take months to destroy Hamas, predicting a drawn-out war. The U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan met with Israeli leaders to discuss a timetable for winding down major combat in Gaza, but they repeated their determination to press the fight until Hamas is crushed. The Ford's roughly 5,000 sailors have been waiting for a Pentagon decision on whether they would get to go home for the holidays. The ship left Norfolk, Virginia in early May to deploy to European Command, and under its original schedule, it would have been home by early November. The original plan was for the USS Dwight Eisenhower aircraft carrier strike group to replace the Ford in the region, but Sabrina Singh, in a Pentagon briefing on October 17, said Lloyd Austin had decided to extend the Ford's deployment and have both the Eisenhower and the Ford covering the waters from southern Europe to the Middle East. U.S. military commanders have long touted the effectiveness of American aircraft carriers as a deterrent, including against attacks, hijackings, and other aggressive behavior by Iran and its ships, including strikes on commercial ships in the Red Sea by the Houthis. However, the repeated Houthi attacks in the Red Sea led shipping giant to announce Friday it was suspending passage through the Bab al-Mandeb. Officials said the plan is to keep the Ford there for several more weeks. The Eisenhower is in the Gulf of Oman and has been patrolling in the Middle East along with the USS Philippine Sea, a Navy cruiser. After 3 warships, the USS Carney, the USS Steatham, and the USS Mason, all Navy destroyers, have been moving through the Bab al-Mandeb daily to help deter and respond to attacks from the Houthis. Other ships that are part of the Ford strike group include the destroyers USS Thomas Hudner, USS Ramaj, USS Carney, and USS Roosevelt. While the U.S. regularly maintains 2 aircraft carriers in the Middle East during the height of the Iraq and Afghanistan wars, In recent years, it has tried to turn its attention and naval presence to the Asia Pacific. Okay, so pretty interesting. I'm just going to get through all these headlines, and once I'm done with the headlines, I'll respond to the chat and see what you guys have to say in the chat here. Chianti Chambers says you want to send me a video. Okay. I'll check it out, definitely. Let me see. I'm just going to keep going through these headlines here. 10 IEDs found at a U.S.-Mexico border. At U.S.-Mexico border in cartel gunfight. The U.S. Customs and Border Protection is warning agents to be on the lookout for explosive devices. A federal law enforcement source shared with Fox Business Network an internal officer safety alert dated December 13th that warns Customs and Border Patrol agents to be vigilant after the Mexican military seized 10 IEDs at the border. The IEDs were found by Mexican authorities after Tucson Border Patrol observed gunshots at the U.S.-Mexico border, and a Tucson Supervisory Border Patrol agent arrested an armed person on the U.S. side who had a loaded AK-47, 2 loaded AK magazines, loose rounds, and a handgun. Customs and Border Protection is warning its agents to exercise extreme caution and should report any possible armed subjects approaching the border with possible explosives devices. A source tells Fox Business this cartel gunfight erupted over a gap in the border fence at the ranch that is typically used to smuggle drugs through. Now it's a magnet for the cartel for human smuggling, and the gangs were fighting for control. So that is insane, guys. Okay, the Customs and Border Protection putting out an alert for these IEDs that, they found 10 of them. That's serious, guys. 10 IEDs is insane. So just going to continue here with some more news. I want to read to you about the National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan and his trip to the Middle East. U.S. National Security Advisor says Hamas' use of human shields places incredible burden on the Israeli Defense Force, adds that Hezbollah in the north must be deterred so evacuated citizens can return home. U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan reiterated the U.S.'s stance that the Palestinian Authority should be held responsible for governing Gaza at the end of Israel's war with Hamas, but acknowledged that it would need to undergo significant changes to be fit to do so. All right, here's a picture of them. This is the leader of the Palestinian Authority, Mahmoud Abbas. And here on the left is the U.S. National Security Advisor. Okay, so they just recently met, and Jake Sullivan also met in. He met with Israeli leaders. Sullivan, who is currently in Israel for a wartime visit with top Israeli officials, addressed the issue of who will govern Gaza at the end of Israel's war with Hamas during a press conference on Friday. Israel has routinely rejected the idea of the Palestinian Authority taking the reins, something which Sullivan did not address during the press briefing, choosing instead to discuss the U.S.'s position. We do believe that the Palestinian Authority needs to be revamped and revitalized, needs to be updated in terms of its method of governance, its representation of Palestinian people, he said. That will require a lot of work, but by everybody who is engaged in the Palestinian Authority, starting with the president, Mahmoud Abbas, who I will go to see, and ultimately it's going to be up to the Palestinian people to work through their representation. So very interesting, guys. Looks like Jake Sullivan is basically siding with Israel. I'm surprised, actually, because they were saying that, Jake Sullivan and the White House, they were saying that, they want, the Palestinians to take Gaza and run it after the war. Now they're changing their tune. So pretty interesting, and basically him saying that evacuated residents of northern Israel, that they want them to come back in. That's foreshadowing a possible military operation in Lebanon is what I think that is. I think the U.S. and Israel they're already discussing an operation against Lebanon. I want to just play for you some of the Russian buzzer audio clips. If you've never heard the Russian buzzer, I'm going to play it for you right now. Let me see here. This was from December the 6th. Okay, there were like 23 of these messages on December the 6th, which is just insane. Dennis, thank you again for the donation. I appreciate it. If was no nukes, PU could take over whole EU. PU made update in war technology. I didn't know why, but now I know he has preparing for war with Europe, in my humble opinion. I guess PU, you mean Putin? Yeah, I think he's preparing for war with Europe. I totally agree. And being that, you're from Russia, you obviously know, and me having a Polish heritage, and having also Slavic, background, I'm very familiar with Putin's mentality and where this is going. So I totally agree with you, and thank you for the donation. I really appreciate that. So want to just place some of this Russian buzzer message here. So this is the Russian buzzer, guys. It's like a Russian emergency action message. It's a alphanumeric message that's basically telling Russian nuclear forces different things, giving them instructions.
Татьяна, Иван. Николай, Женя, Татьяна, Иван. 53 499. Ульяна, Роман, Ольга, Дмитрий, Ольга, Леонид, Яков, Зинаида, Григорий. 0010.
So he's reading names in Russia like Grigori, Olga. He's reading those names. That's just like the alpha part of the message, and then he also reads off the numbers like 4.
1090. Борис, Анна, Семен. 6303 65 71. Николай, Женя, Татьяна, Иван. Николай, Женя, Татьяна, Иван. 53 499. Ульяна, Роман, Ольга, Дмитрий, Ольга, Леонид, Яков, Зинаида, Григорий. 0010 1090. Борис, Анна, Семен. 6303 65 71. Прием.
And the Russian buzzer, it's called the buzzer because of that buzzing noise. It makes a constant buzzing noise until a message comes through. Then the buzzing noise stops. Otherwise, it continues that buzzing noise. And they've actually located where the Russian buzzer is, where they broadcast from, and it's just north of St. Petersburg. That's where the Russian buzzer is broadcasted from. So it's located right here. So this is Finland. Baltic countries, St. Petersburg, and apparently this right here, just north of St. Petersburg, this is where the Russian buzzer, the famous Russian buzzer, is broadcasting from on this highway here, AE-121. It broadcasts right off the side of the highway here, this building right here. And you can actually use Google Street View to see what the building looks like. So just literally right off the highway, this building right here, this is where the Russian buzzer broadcasts those messages from. You can see this fence here, got a guard tower, it looks like. And then you got this building here. It's old Soviet building. So that's where the famous Russian buzzer apparently broadcasts its messages from. So I want to just continue with some more Israel news. Then I'm going to get into Ukraine. I have a lot of news still to go through, so I'm going to be here probably another hour or so. Aldo says, NYPrepper, notice it tones up and down, then lays a message. Isn't that weird, like a break to say we are about to speak? Yeah, very possible. Yeah. Skywatcher says, looks like a good bear area. Yeah, there's a lot of bears in Russia, for sure. A lot of bears in Russia, Eastern Europe, lots and lots of bears. So I'm going to continue here. Mossad chief reportedly dispatched to Europe for talks on hostage deal with Qatari prime minister. So that's pretty interesting. Looks like they're trying to create a deal of some kind. We'll have to wait and see what happens with that. Want to just update you on Ukraine. Ukraine expressed confidence it would receive a $50 billion aid package from the EU, despite Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orban vetoing the funding at a critical summit in Brussels. In a statement, the foreign ministry in Kyiv shrugged off Orban's blocking tactics. It said it expected all necessary legal procedures to be completed at an EU summit in January, with the aid delivered as soon as possible. French President Emmanuel Macron said Orban must not be allowed to take the EU hostage after blocking the aid package, as leaders of the European Union started working on the details of Plan B to raise the money through cash and loans. The French president said Orban was being dishonest to the public about his reasons for vetoing the financial package and would ultimately come around. Russia congratulated Hungary for blocking the aid to Ukraine. Hungary, in contrast to many European countries, firmly defends its interests, which impresses us, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said in Moscow. The European Commission will release a further €1.5 billion for Ukraine in the coming days under existing arrangements, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said at a news conference at the end of an EU summit. A new summit to discuss financial support for Ukraine is planned for early next year, European Council President Charles Michel said. Orban said Friday his country would have plenty of future opportunities to interrupt Ukraine's process of joining the EU a day after the right-wing leader's stunning turnaround allowed EU leaders to move forward on bringing Kyiv into the bloc. In an interview Friday with Hungarian state radio, Orban said that EU leaders told him he would lose nothing by dropping his veto, since he'd have chances in the future to block Ukraine's accession if he chose to. Their decisive argument was that Hungary loses nothing, given that the final word on Ukraine's membership has to be given by the national parliaments, 27 parliaments, including the Hungarian one, Orban said. So it looks like Ukraine is going to probably join the EU. It looks like they're going to join the EU, and this could push Putin to do something drastic, just Putin knowing that that Ukraine could potentially be a part of the EU is going to really motivate him to take action against Eastern Europe, and do something huge very soon. So let me just continue here. A council member of the western Ukrainian village of Koretsky detonated 3 hand grenades during a meeting Friday, critically injuring himself and at least 25 other people, authorities said. The motive of the man, who was preliminarily identified as Serhiy Batrin, a council member belonging to Zelensky's Servant of the People Party, was unclear. So there's actually a video circulating, and I can't share that video, unfortunately, but he basically holds grenades in his hands, walks into a meeting, and just throws grenades on the floor, and they detonate. And I don't know what happened to all the people there, but it's a crazy video. Ukraine's biggest mobile operator hit by a mass cyber attack this week said on Friday that it had restored mobile internet throughout Ukraine and restored international roaming. In a statement on Facebook, Kyivstar said it was working on restoring SMS text messaging. The network, it said, was operating on all standards, including 4G. Russia's central bank on Friday raised its key interest rate to 16%, announcing a 5th hike since summer in a bid to fight escalating inflation. The central bank has been grappling with the economic fallout of the offensive in Ukraine that includes Western sanctions, a surge in government military spending, and the call up of hundreds of thousands of men. Japan announced expanded sanctions over Moscow's invasion of Ukraine, revealing dozens of newly sanctioned firms and other organizations, including export bans against some outside Russia and its ally Belarus. Tokyo added to its sanctions list 57 organizations in Russia and 6 others in countries including the UAE, Armenia, Syria, Uzbekistan, the Trade Ministry said in a statement. Russian anti-aircraft units destroyed 26 Ukrainian drones over the Crimean Peninsula on Friday, the Russian Ministry of Defense said on Telegram. Separately, the Russian installed governor of part of the southern Kherson region held by Moscow, Vladimir Saldo, reported on Telegram that Russian anti-aircraft units had downed at least 15 aerial targets near the town of Henichesk. And the defense ministry said Russian forces shot down 6 Ukrainian drones on the border region of Kursk. Wow, that's interesting. Ukraine has agreed dozens of contracts for joint production or technology exchanges with Western partners, Kyiv said on Friday, as it strives to reduce its dependence on military supplies from the West and boost domestic output. We have dozens of new contracts between companies on joint production or technology exchange, Defense Minister Rustem Umerov said in a Facebook post. Wow. So that's crazy, guys. And if you remember a couple days ago, Zelensky met with all the major defense contractors here in the U.S. When he came to the U.S., he met with the defense contractors. So it looks like they're going to start exchanging technology, which is what the U.S. Has been doing with Poland, for example. Like Poland had a technology exchange for the HIMARS, so they can build their own HIMARS, which makes it cheaper and faster, especially if they want to produce a lot. Mike Subchinsky, thank you for becoming a channel member. I appreciate it. What's going on, Mud and Munitions? How's it going, Mud and Munitions? I hope you're doing well. NYPrepper is one of the few folks on YouTube that provides all his knowledge for nothing in return. Truly amazing how much he shares, not only with these updates, but all his other videos. Thank you, Mud and Munitions. I appreciate that, and I hope you're doing well. Dennis says, I remember Russian bloggers were telling about shortage of internet in Ukraine. What's going on, Paul? Paul from Off Grid Desert Farming. Good to see you. Let's see. Russia is crushing Ukraine now. Their massive counteroffensive has begun with 620,000 troops. They are attacking on the whole contact line. Yeah, that's what's happening. That's right. Russia is launching a huge counterattack right now. That's exactly right. And I think they could potentially take back some some land soon from Ukraine. Um, it's not looking good right now for Ukraine at this particular point in time. Russia's already taken like 20 to 30% of Ukrainian territory. Um, it's unfortunate, but it's true. That's the truth. And it doesn't look like Ukraine is going to take that territory back anytime soon. And if they try, Russia's probably going to use nukes. Unfortunately, that's the situation we're in right now. And I don't think Putin's ambitions are going to stop with Ukraine. I think he's going to go further beyond Ukraine. I think he's going to set his sights on Estonia or Latvia, potentially Lithuania, so he can have that land connection to so he could have that land connection to Kaliningrad from Belarus. But like Estonia, for example, Estonia is like an easy target for him. Estonia has like no military, and they're very far away from any major reinforcements. Any NATO reinforcements are all the way in Poland, so they're just like, it's like a sitting duck. Polish truckers on Friday said they expected to resume a month-long blockade at the largest freight crossing point with Ukraine as their Slovak counterparts announced the end of their protest. Truckers from both countries are demanding the reintroduction of permits to enter the European Union for their Ukrainian competitors, which the 27-nation bloc had waived after Russia invaded Ukraine. Okay, so Polish truckers are mad because Ukrainian truckers are allowed to go into the EU without permits, and they're out competing the Polish truckers. So the Polish truckers are losing business. The same thing happened with the Polish farmers. The Polish farmers, they were also protesting. They were forming blockades because all that cheap Ukrainian grain was flooding the EU, and Polish farmers were being put out of business, okay, because they can't compete with the cheap Ukrainian grain. So the Polish farmers got mad. Newest NATO member, Finland, signs defense pact with the U.S. Finland's Nordic neighbor, Sweden, on the brink of joining NATO, signed a similar deal last week. NATO's newest member, Finland, has announced it will sign a bilateral defense cooperation agreement next week with the United States. The deal will allow Washington to station troops and store weapons inside the Nordic country, which shares a sprawling border with Russia. Finnish Foreign Minister Elina Valtonen told a news conference in Helsinki on Thursday that Defense Minister Antti Hakanen will sign the so-called Defense Cooperation Agreement on Monday. The pact, which still needs to be approved by Finnish lawmakers, is very significant for Finland's defense and security, Hakanen said. It bears a very strong message in this time. The United States is committed to our defense, Hakanen told reporters. Under the deal, Finland would allow U.S. soldiers access to 15 military areas and facilities covering the entire Nordic nation. They range from a key southern naval base and inland air bases to a vast remote army training area in Lapland in the Arctic North. American troops are allowed a permanent presence and regular exercises in Finland, but there are no plans to establish permanent bases in Finland, officials said. Last week, Finland's close neighbor Sweden, which is on the brink of joining NATO, signed a comparable deal, and alliance member Denmark is expected to do so in the near future. So we have multiple Nordic countries signing defense cooperation agreements with the US. Okay, Finland, Sweden, and Denmark. And guess where all those countries are? They're all around the Baltic Sea. Okay, I'm telling you, something is going to happen in the Baltic Sea, whether it's Sweden, Finland, Poland, Norway, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, that whole area, all the countries that are on the Baltic Sea, with the exception of Germany and France and stuff, all those smaller countries that don't have the massive economic power like Germany or France, they're all, something is going to happen there. I'm telling you guys. Okay, the buildup, you can see the buildup. Okay, the U.S. is concerned about something. That's why they're asking Finland to put their weapons and troops there. The deal will allow Washington to station troops and store weapons. Okay, so they're going to be allowed to store weapons as well. Okay, so that is huge news, guys. Huge news. In addition to being a NATO member, I mean, what if they store nuclear weapons there? I mean, they could store, B-61s. The B-61 is the nuclear gravity bomb. I mean, we don't know what they're going to store. They could store all different kinds of things there. So, let's see, what other stuff do I have for you guys? Putin vows to attain goals in Ukraine, says 617,000 troops deployed. President Vladimir Putin reaffirmed Russia's commitments to its objectives in the Ukrainian conflict during a marathon 4-hour press conference on Thursday, emphasizing the ongoing deployment of Russian troops and asserting the need to secure Ukraine's demilitarization, denazification, and neutrality. Putin also ruled out an immediate wave of further mobilization in Russia, confirming that approximately 617,000 Russian troops are currently engaged in Ukraine, indicating that no additional mobilization is currently necessary. Addressing questions from the public, media, and frontline soldiers, Putin underscored the active involvement of Russian forces in what he termed a special military operation, stating, "Our troops are actively consolidating positions along the entire contact line, engaged in an active phase of action." Against the backdrop of escalating tensions, Putin reiterated Moscow's opposition to Ukraine's pursuit of NATO and EU membership, highlighting these moves are key factors in the ongoing conflict. He reiterated his belief that Western expansion was the primary cause of the war, a viewpoint sharply contested by Western nations. "We seek peace through achieving our goals. If Ukrainian authorities decline to reach an agreement, we may have to resort to other measures, including military actions," Putin asserted firmly during the conference. While discussing the conflict's economic impact, Putin projected a 3.5% growth in the Russian economy for the year, but cautioned about potential 8% annual inflation rates, blaming the government for substantial increases in egg prices. So I showed you guys a video last week of this long line in Belgorod, where Russian people were waiting in line for eggs. It was like a massive line, very reminiscent of the Soviet Union. During the Soviet Union days, there were really long lines for food. Okay, there were bread lines. So looks like those days are returning. It looks like slowly Russia's going back to the Soviet days. Unfortunately, that's what it's looking like in all aspects. With building up the nuclear arsenal again, and more isolation with from the West. So it doesn't bode well for the long term. In the midst of public concerns about rising living costs, Putin faced questions from the audience highlighting citizen apprehensions. Additionally, he drew a contrast between Russia's actions in Ukraine and Israel's involvement in Gaza. They were very different. So, very interesting. Got an update on Venezuela and Guyana. The president of Venezuela and the president of Guyana, they sat down and talked. Venezuela and Guyana pledged not to use force in bitter dispute over oil-rich territory. The two countries declared that they would not threaten or use force against one another in any circumstances, including those consequential to any existing controversies between the two states. So that's some good news. I guess we'll have to wait and see. In a tense meeting held in St. Vincent and the Grenadines on Thursday, Venezuela President Nicolas Maduro and Guyana President Mohamed Irfan Ali reaffirmed their commitment to good neighborliness and peaceful coexistence. The two countries declared that they would not threaten or use force against one another in any circumstances, including those consequential to any existing controversies between the two states. Wow. So, and looks like Maduro posted on X on Twitter saying that he was satisfied with the meeting. Let's see here if I can show this to you guys. So here was a post from Maduro. This is pretty surprising. This was on Twitter after the meeting. So he wrote here, I thank the president of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, Irfan Ali, for his candor and willingness to engage in broad dialogue on all the issues addressed directly. I am satisfied to have been met face to face as I wanted it for a long time. It was worth it to raise the flag of truth, to raise our historical reasons, and to seek with Bolivarian peace diplomacy the path of dialogue and understanding to channel this historical controversy. Okay, so very interesting. So maybe Venezuela, Guyana, maybe for now, it might be simmering down. We'll have to wait and see. K. Paul says good night. Sounds good, K. Paul. Thank you for moderating. You're an awesome moderator. I've been doing a lot of live streams the last 2 weeks, and I really appreciate all of the moderators hanging in through all these long lives. I've been doing like 2 to 2.5 hour long live streams, so I really appreciate you guys staying for the entire broadcast and keeping the peace here, making sure the trolls don't overrun the chat. I really appreciate that. Ross Niderman says, check out what I uploaded on X. Sounds good. Let's see here. Aldo Schmedak. What's going on? Joe Romanino, good to see you. So much news. Yeah, the news is just insane. It's just nonstop news. Yeah. The news is just insane. It's so much news these days. It's crazy. I can't believe how much news. Okay, I'll check the X. Oh, this is kind of a funny video. I think this is in France. These farmers were dumping manure on one of the French government buildings. I think this is hilarious. Look at this. It's the funniest thing I've seen in a while. Look at that. They're just piling manure on one of the buildings here. That's just so funny. Oh my gosh. So funny. Wow. Let's see, what other news do I have? We have some concerning information coming from the nuclear power plant in Ukraine. The safety system at the temporarily occupied Zaporizhia nuclear power plant continues to degrade, and the personnel at the plant are incompetent. This was stated by the acting head of the State Nuclear Regulatory Inspectorate, Oleg Korokov, at a briefing. Among the risks we note is incompetent personnel managing the nuclear facility, illegal management gives orders, and the personnel of the control room do not have the appropriate qualifications and experience to carry out operational management of nuclear facilities, Korikov emphasized. The level of militarization of the ZNPP is increasing. The technological premises continue to be used as a shelter for weapons, explosives, and military equipment, Korikov said. He noted that the Russians are restricting the access of IAEA representatives to some areas of the occupied power plant. There's evidence that the Russians are launching multiple launch rocket systems and artillery on the territories adjacent to the ZNPP. In addition, the power plant still receives electricity from only one power line. The second power line, the backup line, cannot be restored. Wow. Okay, so they're still only getting power from one power line. That's very concerning, guys. And they have incompetent personnel there. Okay, incompetent personnel. Okay, people that are not qualified to run a nuclear power plant. It's pretty concerning. 11 Banger, thank you for gifting 10 memberships. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, 11 Banger. And Alan Mandel, thank you for the donation. Please check Iranian refinery and storage explosion. Sounds good. I'll definitely look into it. Yeah, the moderators have done an excellent job for sure. The moderators have done an excellent job. We have awesome moderators here. I'm really blessed and thankful. Aldo Schmedak says, Greg, any news on Temple Mount, North Korea, or Kuril Islands? I haven't heard anything. I'll have to double check. Just had to switch devices, says Ross. Yeah, I'll check the update you sent me. I'm not sure what it's about, Ross, but I'm checking here right now. Let's see. Looks like we have a senior member of the Houthi organization threatening the U.S. now. A senior member of the Houthi organization said they will not abandon the Palestinian cause regardless of American threats. The actions against Israel will continue. Any hostile move against Yemen will have serious consequences. Wow. Just absolutely crazy, guys. Absolutely insane. So, very crazy situation in the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant. Very concerning. I'm surprised that power plant hasn't been attacked yet, or it hasn't melted down yet. I'm really surprised that it's still in one piece. It's really a miracle. So the autopsy report for Matthew Perry, the star of Friends, came out. Apparently he died from acute effects of ketamine. According to the results of an autopsy released on Friday, the Los Angeles County Department of Medical Examiners said in the autopsy report that Perry also drowned in the heated end of his pool, but that it was a secondary factor in his October 28th death deemed an accident. People close to Perry told investigators that he was undergoing ketamine infusion therapy, an experimental treatment used to treat depression and anxiety. But the medical examiner said the levels of ketamine in Perry's body were in the range used for general anesthesia during surgery. and that his last treatment 1.5 weeks earlier wouldn't explain those levels. The drug is typically metabolized in a matter of hours. The report says coronary artery disease and buprenorphine, which is used to treat opioid disorder, also contributed. The amount of ketamine detected would be enough to make him lose consciousness and lose his posture and his ability to keep himself above the water, said Dr. Andrew Stolbach, a medical toxicologist with Johns Hopkins Medicine, who reviewed the autopsy report at the request of the Associated Press. So he was using ketamine, it looks like. Ketamine and some other stuff. Um, the amount of ketamine detected would be enough to make him lose consciousness, and or using a sedative drug in a pool or hot tub, especially when you're alone, is extremely risky, and sadly here it's fatal, said Stolbach, who noted that both ketamine and buprenorphine can be used safely. Wow. The actor had taken drugs in the past but had reportedly been clean for 19 months, according to the report. Obviously, he wasn't, though. Post-mortem blood tests showed high levels of ketamine in his system, which could have raised his blood pressure and heart rate and dulled his impulse to breathe. Buprenorphine, commonly used in opioid addiction and found in therapeutic levels in Perry's blood, could have contributed to the breathing problem. So it looks like he was taking some anti-opioid. He looks like he had an opioid addiction, and he was taking some kind of medicine to help with that, and that also contributed. So pretty crazy. So wow, I think I finally covered all the news. Wow, it took me 2 hours, 2 hours to cover the news. Just absolutely crazy. It's just nonstop. Um, so thank you guys for sticking with me. Can we get another visual now, Greg? Yeah, I can change the visual. Sorry about that. um, yeah, so much poop. So here we have the current situation over the U.S. Looks like we have a KC-135 Stratotanker flying over North Texas. Nothing too interesting to report. We have a Stratotanker flying over Virginia Beach. This is pretty interesting, actually. This isn't really too common, especially at midnight. It's actually pretty unusual. Let's see, what do we have in the Middle East here? Looks like we have what's this? Some kind of Airbus took off from Azerbaijan. It's pretty quiet in the Persian Gulf. Wow, very quiet night so far. Looks like we have a U.S. Air Force VIP plane. Where it's going, I'm not sure. It looks like it might be going to Ramstein. Where's Ramstein? It's somewhere over here, isn't it? Yeah, it's probably going to Ramstein. So it looks like we have some U.S. government VIPs probably going to Ramstein. You can see it's lowering its altitude now. So yeah. What do we have here? Yeah, this is pretty interesting, though. Got this aerial refueler here at the mouth of the Chesapeake. That's pretty interesting. So basically, that's all the breaking news that I have for you guys. I'll just, open up the chat and talk to you guys a little bit. I was going to do a campfire stream tonight, but I didn't have enough time. It's been a really busy week for me. Had a lot of things going on outside of YouTube that I had to deal with this week. So hopefully I'll be able to do a campfire stream soon. Desert Racer says, thanks for the update, Greg. No problem. Jeff Stalker says, hope you had a great week and hope you have a good weekend. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate it. Jonathan Daly says, we always look out for underdog. Everything going on right now is biblical. Yeah, it definitely is. Paprika Pauline says, thank you so much, Greg. No problem. Saw in the chat that the Temple Mount was targeting. Is that true? Targeted? Is that true? I don't know. I'd have to look into that. I'd have to look into that. Country Christian, how's it going? You love the campfire streams. Yeah, I love them too. I might bring back the 24/7 streams potentially. I have to get a separate computer. I would still do my normal updates. I would just keep the stream running all day basically and do live coverage of different things. I'd have to get a separate computer for that though. We have some breaking news. Pro-Palestinian protesters shut down the LAX airport entrance, causing significant congestion. That's pretty interesting. So these pro-Palestinian protesters are getting more gutsy. It looks like we have some weird situations unfolding. Some guy in a costume tried to force his way into someone's house in Arlington, Virginia. He was dressed as the gingerbread man. I don't know if you guys remember a couple of years back, they had that big thing with the clowns. People were dressing up like clowns and like trying to scare people and stuff. Um, so maybe that's going to be the new thing this year, people dressing up in costumes and trying to, do different things. So I was going to do a live stream tomorrow night, but I might take a break tomorrow night. I've been doing so many live streams lately. I might take a break tomorrow night from the streams. I'm not sure yet. I'll see how I feel. Or if I do one tomorrow night, it might be more relaxed. Did I get anything hunting? No, unfortunately, I didn't get lucky hunting this year. I didn't get to hunt as much as I wanted to. And, hopefully next year I'll have better luck. I'm going to do a lot more scouting this year, especially for bear. I just moved here to Pennsylvania like just over 2 years ago, 2.5 years. So I'm still getting to know a lot of the areas, which areas are good, which spots are good and everything, and the hunting pressure and stuff like that. There's the area where I live in, especially like for bear, it's such a big area here. There's so much woods and it's so remote that, the bears can just go anywhere. It's like, it's just so vast. In some areas, it's just so vast and they can be anywhere. So it's kind of, I got to try to find like an area that I know that they're like denning over there, or, there's some kind of specific thing that's drawing them into an area, like a food source or maybe a water source or something. Like I got to look for some swamps and stuff, or maybe some ridges with beach on them. When will the next dark winter be? Hopefully I'll be able to film some episodes in the coming days. I'd like to release maybe 1 or 2 episodes before the end of the year. So we'll see. But my plan is to release. I already filmed 1 episode. I have 1 more episode to film. So I have 2 episodes to film, or I have 1 episode to film, and I'm going to release those 2 sometime in the coming weeks. Hopefully within 2 weeks. Lover of the Lion of Judah, we love you, Greg. Don't burn yourself out. We know you love us. Just take care of yourself, brother. Thank you. I appreciate that. Mary Beth says, take a break. You deserve it. Thank you, Mary Beth. Ken Switzer says, bears taste good like roast beef. Yeah, they do, actually. They do taste good. Mud and Munition says, have an awesome weekend. Those scouting videos are awesome. Beautiful, beautiful scenery out there. Thank you, Mud and Munitions. I was going to release that video this morning, but I didn't get a chance to finish it. But I'm going to release some videos over the weekend, some ballistics videos. I have a few ballistics videos I'm going to release over the weekend, and more hunting footage. I have I have like 3 hunting videos that I have to release. So I'll be doing that over the weekend. So if you like that, you're gonna be you're gonna like it. Get some Prime energy drinks. I've never had Prime energy drinks. I'm surprised Lorna is still here. She usually takes off early. She doesn't like to stay up super late. Ross Snyderman says, I'm going to the Poconos for the holidays. Enjoy. Have fun, Ross. Thank you to all the moderators. I appreciate you guys. TW Perry, Angela Dunn, Ross Snyderman. Yeah, Lorna, she mods on 3 channels or maybe more. I know she mods here. She mods for pinball, and then she mods for Inside Russia. So between us 3, she's modding like constantly. Um, I just recently started doing a lot of live streams lately, but I don't stream as much as in the past. I haven't streamed like I have in the last 2 weeks. The last 2 weeks, I started streaming a lot. Rip Curl is on Marfugal. I didn't know he mods there. That's interesting. SMC 000 says, you all run a good ship here. Sandra says, thank you once again. I appreciate your information. Good night, Missouri man. Good to see you again, and I hope you have a great night, and maybe I'll see you sometime soon. Ross Snyderman says, Lake Wallen Pawpack. That's a nice area. It's a big lake. When I was a kid, I used to do a lot of camping in Poconos. Poconos was like really popular back in the day. It still is, but not like it used to be, like in the 80s, 90s. That was like a major tourist attraction. So yeah, I think we're gonna have some crazy events unfolding soon. We're gonna have some crazy events unfolding soon. It's already been a crazy year. I mean, just looking back at this year, it's just been absolutely insane. Um, so, is there anything in particular you guys want me to do in 2024 for the channel? Uh, any feedback? Like, what do you guys like the long streams where I do, like, I leave the stream on and cover things as they're happening. Do you guys want me to do more of those again? You know, sort of like how Lee Wilbarger does it. I might do stuff like that potentially. I'll have to see. Um, Shannon Sissel says, love these streams with you all. Um, just keep doing what I'm doing. Sounds good. I will. NYPrepper says, I ordered some gas masks from Amazon and you would think they would give you good filters, but now I got to spend another $240 to get. Yeah, the good filters are kind of pricey. I would recommend if you go to Mira Safety, they have these filters that last a long time. I forget the shelf life. It's like 15 years or 10 years. They're a little bit more expensive, but they last longer. Um, so it's a good thing to have for like a long-term prep item. Campfire video and s'mores. Sounds good. I'm definitely going to do that. Joan Julia says, let's rest up for what is coming. Thanks, Greg. Comforting to be here with Christian friends. My pleasure, Joan Julia. Yeah, we have a good group of people here. Ross says it's a relaxing atmosphere. Yeah, I like to keep things relaxing. Life is short, so I don't like drama. I don't like drama or any kind of stuff like that. Life is short, and you have to enjoy your life. Life's too short to have drama and all kinds of stuff like that. Yeah, it looks like this U.S. Air Force VIP plane landed at Ramstein. So, pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. Take a screenshot of that for tomorrow's update for the people that didn't see this update. So the U.S. already sent the X-37B into space. Let me see if I can they probably don't post a video of that because it's top secret, but the X-37B is a top secret plane. Would be cool to see like an actual launch of it, but let me see here. Just checking to see if there's any breaking updates here. Yeah, so here we have footage of the pro-Palestine protesters in LAX tonight. This is happening right now. This is in Los Angeles. They blocked the entrance to the LAX International Airport. So that's happening right now. What do you guys think of my new intro? Do you like my intro? What do you guys think of it? I spent a good couple hours working on it. Lover of the Lion, Judah. If we could do 24-hour streams, I think we would all appreciate it, but we don't want to cost you too much to do so. Okay, Lover of the Lion. Yeah, I mean, if I do 24/7 streams, I would basically just leave it on and just pop in periodically and say hello and stuff, but um, might be a little tough for me to do that all the time because, I'm a busy guy. Uh, April Renee says, Greg, do you think that there will be any attacks here in the U.S. like that U.S. to CA car incident and those attacks in France? Oh yeah, I think there will be. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah, I think the FBI has been warning about it, so yeah, it's definitely coming. Um, it's definitely coming. So, oh wait, here's the Palestinians here. It's definitely coming, guys. I have no doubt that these attacks are coming. I'm really concerned about New York City for New Year's. I'm very concerned about that. So, you know, wow, the skies are very quiet tonight. Very quiet, unusually quiet. There's like really nothing going on at all right now. Um, just checking to see if there's any breaking news coming in right now. But yeah, this is what we got going on over the U.S. right now. It's pretty quiet. Got this C5 Galaxy flying over Greenland area. That's kind of interesting. But this is pretty interesting here. This aerial refueler here over the mouth of the Chesapeake. That's very interesting. Great intro. It had Terminator vibes. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Terminator series, and I honestly really think that could be one of the SHTF scenarios that we could face is, a war against machines. I mean, it sounds crazy, but it's very possible. I mean, look at how AI is progressing so fast. The military's talking about uploading it into the stealth bombers, the new B-21s. I mean, it's crazy, it's just absolutely insane, that I think the Terminator scenario is very, very realistic and very possible. A war against the machines. Greg, what things can prevent your devices from being hit by cyber attacks? Well, make sure you have good, strong passwords, for all your bank accounts, all your passwords. Make sure you have strong passwords, which should be a combination of uppercase letters, lowercase letters, numbers, and special symbols. At least 8 characters long. That should be like your basic password. Something that's not easy to guess. So like, don't use like your name and your birthday or something, or your address and your name, something that someone could easily figure out. So somebody said refueling trainers hangs out there frequently. I haven't seen these hang out there frequently, so I don't know. And I watch flights every day, so I don't know if I agree with you on that. But thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. Um, Renee says, "Did I miss the giveaway winners?" No, you did not. I don't know when. I might give the giveaway a few more days. Potentially, I might announce the winners on Sunday. I might do Sunday night an announcement of the winners, or I might just release a video update on Monday announcing the winners. I'm not sure how I'm gonna do it yet. So, but no, you didn't. There's still an opportunity to enter into the giveaway. You don't really have to do much. You just go to my YouTube channel, you click on the community page, and you post under 100,000 subscriber giveaway. You'll see a post there. You post under it, and you answer the question, and that's pretty much it. It's very very self-explanatory. Um, so I'm almost at 113,000 subscribers, guys. I just need 20 more subscribers to get to 113,000. So it's pretty cool. Wow, Melissa Harper, you just gifted 50 memberships. That's incredible. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. That's really generous. I hope you're having a great Friday. TGIF. I remember back in the 90s, they used to have on TV was TGIF, all the different TV shows like Boy Meets World on Friday nights. Um, that was back in the good old days, back in the 90s before everything went downhill. Those were the good old days. Um, let's just see if there's any updates coming in from the Middle East. I'm going to check some sources here. Let's see if there's any breaking news. Apparently, there was a bombing in Khan Yunis this morning. Khan Yunis in southern Gaza. Violent Israeli bombardment now going on now in the Gaza Strip. So interesting. Thank you guys for all the donations. I really appreciate it. Melissa Harper, thank you so much. Really appreciate the donations, and I hope you guys enjoy your holidays. Lady Linda says Greg needs his sleep for strength. Tammy Esparza says, I miss those days so much. The innocence of the 90s. Exactly. That's what I always say. The 90s were so, it was like before everything went crazy in the world, the 90s were so innocent, you know. Now it's just total chaos. Wildflower Blessing says, goodness, you're up late, Greg. Yeah, a little bit late tonight. Yeah, it's Friday night, so I mean, not a big deal really. It's the weekend. Yes, I'm really concerned about cyber attacks, though. I think that cyber attacks are something that we've really been lucky with. We haven't had any major cyber attacks. So I think they're coming. I think the cyber attacks are coming, and I think we could have like a 2003 blackout situation. I know some of you guys might remember it. I definitely remember it. Let's maybe read about it a little here. The Northeast blackout of 2003. this is something that could happen from a cyber attack. This was August 14th to August 16th. Duration was from 2 hours to 4 days, depending on location. 55 million people lost power. Wow. The Northeast blackout of 2003 was a widespread power outage throughout parts of the northeastern and midwestern United States and most parts of the Canadian province of Ontario on Thursday, August 14th, 2003, beginning just after 4:10 p.m. Eastern Time. Most places restored power by midnight within 7 hours, some as early as 6 p.m. on August 14th within 2 hours, while the New York City subway resumed limited service around 8 p.m. Full power was restored to New York City and parts of Toronto on August 16. At the same time, it was the world's second most widespread blackout in history after the 1999 southern Brazil blackout. The outage, which was much more widespread than the Northeast blackout of 1965, affected an estimated 55 million people, including 10 million people in southern and central Ontario and 45 million people in 8 U.S. states. The blackout's proximate cause was a software bug in the alarm system at the control room of First Energy, in an Akron, Ohio-based company, which rendered operators unaware of the need to redistribute load after overloaded transmission lines drooped into foliage. What should have been a manageable local blackout cascaded into the collapse of much of the Northeast regional electricity distribution system. According to the New York Independent System Operator, the ISO responsible for managing the New York State power grid, a 3,500 megawatt power surge affected the transmission grid at 4:10 p.m. Eastern Time. For the next 30 minutes until 4:40 p.m., outages were reported in Michigan, Ohio, Ontario, New Jersey, New York. This was followed by outages in other areas initially unaffected, including all of New York City, portions of southern New York State, New Jersey, Vermont, Connecticut, as well as most of the province of Ontario. Eventually, a large, somewhat triangular area bounded by Lansing, Michigan, St. Marie, Ontario, and the shore of James Bay, Ottawa, New York, and Toledo was left without power. Wow. That's a huge area, guys. James Bay. That's crazy, guys. That's all the way up. There's polar bears in James Bay. That's huge. That's a huge area. This whole area here had no power for up to several days. This huge section here. And I didn't have power either. We lost power where I was at. I remember that day. Power went out. It was insane. It really was unexpected. And that's what I think is going to happen when there's, the next big event is cyber attack, nuclear war, EMP, whatever. It's going to happen unexpectedly. You're not going to expect it, So very interesting. Let's see here. According to the official analysis of the blackout prepared by the U.S. and Canadian governments, more than 508 generating units at 265 power plants shut down during the outage. In the minutes before the event, the NYISO managed system essential services remained in operation in some of these areas. In others, backup generation systems failed. Telephone networks generally remained operational, but the increased demand triggered by the blackout left many circuits overloaded. Water systems in several cities lost pressure, forcing boil water advisories to be put into effect. Cellular service was interrupted as mobile networks were overloaded with the increase in the volume of calls. Many cell sites were out of commission due to power outages. Television and radio stations remained on the air with the help of backup generators, although some stations were knocked off the air for periods ranging from several hours to the length of the entire blackout. It was a hot day in much of the infected region, and the heat played a role in the initial event that triggered the wider power outage. The high ambient temperature increased energy demand as people across the region turned on fans and air conditioning. This caused the power lines to sag as high currents heated the lines. In areas where power remained off after nightfall, the Milky Way and orbiting artificial satellites became visible to the naked eye in metropolitan areas where they cannot ordinarily be seen due to light pollution. Wow, guys. So imagine seeing the Milky Way in New York City. I mean, that's impossible. In order to see the Milky Way in New York, in the New York area, you got to be at least like 1 to 2 hours away from New York City. Otherwise you won't see it. Most of the Amtrak Northeast Corridor service was interrupted as it relied on electricity for its signaling and crossing systems. Electrified commuter railways also shut down. Via Rail in Canada was able to continue most of its service. All airports in the affected area closed immediately. Blah, blah, blah. Most places restored power by midnight. So very interesting. Here's a picture of people walking in Queensboro Bridge during the blackout. You can see all the buildings are just totally dark. This is Toronto on the evening of August 14th after the blackout. Look at that. The whole city is just pitch black. Absolutely insane. Volunteers received fluorescent jackets from police to direct traffic in Toronto during the blackout. That's pretty interesting. Toronto Union Station during the blackout. This is one of their train stations here. You can see, that it's really dark in there. Streetcar left stranded by the blackout. Look at this. This is a tram that just shut down in the middle of the road. I want to see if I could find some more pictures of the 2003 blackout from New York City. Might actually do like an in-depth video study on it. Yeah, here's look at this. Wow. These are pictures from the 2003 blackout. Look at this. This is New York City, just pitch black. Can you imagine that? Look at that. The city that never sleeps brought to total darkness. It's just crazy. Wow. Here we have another picture. People walking because their cars don't work. And this is what SHTF would look like, folks. When there's a SHTF situation, you're going to have masses of people like this flooding out of the cities, trying to get away from the city. And they're going to be going to your backyard, potentially, depending on where you live. Professor at Columbia University directing traffic. Wow. Here's another picture. You can see all the street lights are out. Yeah, this could have been a really bad situation, guys. Wow. Here's another picture. Look at this. Just totally dark. I think that's Times Square. Is that Times Square? I can't tell. Let me see. I don't know. New York City that well, believe it or not, but that looks like Times Square. Look at the Crown Victoria here, this taxi cab, the Crown Vic. Yeah, it looks like Times Square, totally dark. Isn't that eerie? Let's see. Here's another picture of all of New York City, just pitch black. Look at that. That's just crazy. Wow. I should put this in my intro. In fact, I might do that actually. Here we have Grand Central Station. Looks like some authorities here telling people what to do. Wow. People are being helped out of the subways because the subways stopped working underground and they had to be helped out from underground. They have those little tunnels that you can go in to get out of the subway, the tunnel. So they're helping people get out. Yeah, this could have been a really bad situation. Um, Here's a picture of people in the subway with, they had flashlights here. So this is why you need to have a bug out bag with just basic essentials, because anything can happen at any time. So this is just insane. Let's see, what other pictures are there here? Look at this. Stranded passengers at JFK Airport. Wow. Mary Beth says, I'm surprised that I'm still awake. I should probably go to sleep, but here I am. Yeah, I'm going to be winding it down in a few minutes. I'm just going to go through these pictures and then I'm going to probably shut it down after the pictures. Imagine it now without phone or internet. Yeah, back then people were still kind of used to not having phone or internet because it was early 2000s. Most people didn't even have cell phones back then. Now, yeah, people would totally panic. Um, Look at this, people just sitting and sleeping on the ground. Look at that. That's crazy. Wow. It's insane. Val says, we appreciate you. Thank you, Val. Good night, Rodney Middleton. Thank you for all your support. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yeah, you should definitely get a lot of books, 2K Gamer. I agree. Books are very essential. What do I think of the Garmin InReach service? I've never actually used it. I'd have to read more about it. So I can't really say one way or the other how good it is. Mud and Munitions, have a good night, man. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well over there. Have a great night. Thanks for all your support. DRW says, I was in Hoboken in the mid 70s and watched NYC disappear when they had a blackout. Nina Nixon Mendez, thank you for the donation. Good to see you. I hope you're having a great Friday night. Is a road atlas a good way to go? Yeah, road atlases are good. If you can get a waterproof map, that's the best way to go. That's what I have. I have waterproof maps of like the entire United States and also like the Northeast. So I always keep those in my bug out bag because you never know where you're going to have to go. Good night, Lorna. Thanks for staying up all night. I appreciate it. Um, these pictures are insane. Look at this. Wow, this picture is crazy. Look at all these people here. There's like so many people in the street here. Just looks insane. Look at this. This is like it's like out of a movie. I mean, look at this. Just people walking in the streets, just not knowing what to do. This is exactly what SHTF would look like. Look, the whole city is dark. The sun comes up, no lights anywhere, just pitch black. Wow. And then here at night, you can see everything's dark. It's just eerie. Wow. So, wow, look at this flood of people over the Brooklyn Bridge. That's insane. Look at that. Wow. That's just insane. Look at this. That's just unbelievable. I'm going to, it's just crazy. Look at that. Wow. You know what's amazing though is there wasn't a whole lot of crime or anything. I mean, this was like 2 years after 9/11, so there was a lot of unity amongst New Yorkers. Back then, the mentality of New Yorkers was different. New Yorkers back then they had a different mentality because it was just right after 9/11, so everybody felt like they had that community feeling. Now I'm not sure. I'm not sure that people would be so calm now. I think you'd have people panicking and fighting for resources. I don't think it would be that calm. Um, so um, here we have a video coming out of Russia. Their Yars missile. Let's see here. They just posted this video of their Yars missile system. I think this might be the missile they're testing. Maybe this is the one they're testing. I don't know. Let's actually just finish going through these pictures. Wow, look at this. This looks like the Empire State Building. It's just pitch black. Look at that. That is insane. Wow, can't even see it. So Russia just released this video today. Looks like um, this is the RS-24 Yars. That's their one of their newer missiles. I feel like we're just living in the Cold War again. The only thing they're missing are the hammer and sickle flags. They have the Russian flag now, but I mean, really, if they had a hammer and sickle flag, it would just be perfect, right? Because it's like watching the Cold War with all these missiles all the time. Oh, here's the missile truck. So this is like one of the garages that they keep these missile trucks in. You see that? It's like a metal garage. It's reinforced to protect from missile blast, but they keep these in these garages until there's enough enough of a threat that they disperse the truck into the countryside. So this is one of those garages that they store them in. It's almost like an aircraft hangar, and it's reinforced. It's made of like steel, and then if there's like tensions, they disperse them into the countryside so we can't destroy them. So here they are being dispersed into the countryside. So maybe this is what they're going to be testing, possibly. So that's pretty much it, guys. I think I'm going to wind it down. I've been on here for almost 3 hours. Wow. Can't believe it. So thank you guys so much for tuning in and staying with me for so long. And thanks for all your donations. I really appreciate them. I'm not sure yet if I'm going to stream tomorrow night. If I do stream tomorrow night, it'll probably be like more relaxed. I don't think it's going to be like anything heavy, hardcore, news or anything. I need to just relax for a little bit because I've been going nonstop with the news the last few months. Actually, I need some time to relax. So if I do go live tomorrow, don't expect like a hardcore news broadcast. It might just be more relaxed, like something like this, just hanging out and looking at stuff. And just chatting and stuff. So if you want to join tomorrow night and do that, we can do that. But I don't think I'll do any heavy news tomorrow. It'll probably just be like a relaxing hangout stream, kind of like now. Skywatcher says, get some mud on your tires, Greg. Have fun. Thank you, Skywatcher. I appreciate it. Harley Lady says, good night. Get your rest. And thank you. Thank you, Harley Lady. I appreciate it. Have a party. That would be cool. A party would be fun. Mr. Nemo says, gotta get a bear, Greg. Good night. Good luck. Let me know how it goes. Mama Bear says, get rest and restoration. Thank you, Mama Bear. 2K Gamer says, heck yeah, I'm watching tomorrow. TW Perry, thank you for tuning in. Thanks for all your support. I appreciate it. Patrick says, good night, Greg. Thanks again. Yes, rest a bit, go lighter. Greg, yeah, get some rest. Maybe do some electric biking. That's funny. Mud Girl, good night, Mud Girl. Lover of the Lion of Judah. Thank you so much. So I hope you guys have a good rest of your night. And Leanne, have a good night. Mary Beth, thank you guys for all your support. Jane Jones, I'm glad you loved the intro. And till next time, take care. God bless. And don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.